So in terms of growth, I mentioned social firm sector, which is my own passion. But broadly, the social enterprises in Scotland have grown and organised themselves, mobilised themselves. And there are now over 20 or so social enterprise networks in different geographies of Scotland. And they come together to go for contracts that are too big for single social enterprises to go for, and just to share learning about their own experiences of development and growth. And interestingly, there are also social enterprise thematic networks who come together to highlight social enterprise contribution to health, sport, regeneration, community food, culture and youth. So they're mobilising in particular geographic and thematic areas in the country, and it's owned by them. It's not led by any intermediaries. It's very much a bottom-up approach. So moving on, with the onset of the recession, our sector, I think, has been broadly resilient, but social enterprises need to survive and thrive. And in that sense, during the real tough times when the recession hit, social enterprises and social firms were looking for new markets or a larger market share of where they were already there. And importantly, the public procurement market became a very important opportunity for them. And that's what I've been trying to lobby for, along with our coalition colleagues, for the past, feels like 10 years anyway, but it's probably been about 5 or 6. So the public procurement market in Scotland is worth £9 billion annually. And I think when we started on this journey, the third sector in general weren't even near 1% of that market share. So we had huge opportunities to try and influence policy and make it easier for social enterprises to access that market. And I guess, you know, anywhere you go in the UK or the world today, it's not news that public services are under increasing pressure to provide higher quality, customised services to more service users at less cost. And I think there's an opportunity not to do things differently, but to do things better. So 2 things need to happen if those pressures are to be alleviated. Firstly, a greater focus for us in Scotland on an investment in prevention, preventative approaches, early interventions to save costs in the longer term. And secondly, service specifications and service delivery models need to change. And I think the social enterprise sector in Scotland is raising its game to take advantage of those opportunities. So within that, there's a different approach to service delivery required, and that's got great opportunities for our sector. But in order to grasp those opportunities, it needs to be involved more heavily and earlier, I think, in the commissioning of services, understand how to win procurement processes, and deliver better quality services for the end users. And although we've got some very large social enterprises in Scotland with high £1 million turnovers, most of our sector is very small, and a lot of micro businesses, in fact. So to take advantage of those opportunities that I mentioned, our sector really needs to work together and with the wider business community. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're certainly mobilising ourselves to work better as a sector and go for contracts together under a consortium, for example, and we need to be doing more of that.
We were very fortunate when we applied to go on the sort of Ready for Business programme that we were actually what was deemed as capacity ready. We were ready to go. And at that point, the community benefit clauses within Glasgow were really taking off. And we were very fortunate to be successful, I suppose, to be brought forward to bid, to tender for Sir Robert McAlpine, who's one of the biggest construction companies in Scotland and across the UK, for their velodrome site. And that was particularly in catering, which, as I said, you know, catering is probably our forte. And the reason why I think it's particularly our forte, we found very quickly working with trainees and people furthest away from the employment market, a lot of the skills we were using in catering were transferable into home life. So if you can make a pot of soup in our cafe, you can make it at home. So it was very quickly, it was an easy task for us to break down. So we went forward to Sir Robert McAlpine's, and I went and I did my pitch, and we were successful, and it was a competitive tender, I've got to say. We were up against other small firms that weren't social enterprise. And I think for us it was a fantastic opportunity. But I think on the greater scale for social enterprise, it was, I think, the catalyst for everything else after that. From our point of view, it was very much everybody watching you, because you thought, oh, this could either go all fantastic or it would go completely pear-shaped. So it was very much about us having to deliver what we said we could deliver. What I would say to you is, this is all fantastic and moving forward in community benefit. You need to really think about the risk that you're taking with your company as well to take that forward. And I'm not certainly trying to put anybody off that. Just be kind of aware of that when you're taking it forward. We were very, I suppose, a bit naive when we approached this sort of bid. We had a £40,000 start-up cost to get us in and running in Sir Robert McAlpine's. That's a lot of money for any board or any social enterprise to risk, for it to work. But I think, what we decided was it was worth the risk for us. And I think from that, I'll have a wee chat about that in a minute, about really what we learnt from that and how much we've actually used our experience to then sort of suppose share that with other people going forward, which I think then has been very useful. But on the practical side of Sir Robert McAlpine's contract, we created in total 10 jobs and 4 new training placements. Out of those 10 jobs, that created 5 people with learning disabilities or mental health issues that had been through our training programme actually into full-time employment. Profitability, we were feeding about 500 guys a day. And my standing things, yes, we did healthy eating. We did it all. We started off the first few weeks doing, I think I said last night, we went from thinking we were providing cordon bleu to basically accepting that the guys only really wanted chips and curry sauce and Zoom ice lollies, and high energy drinks. So, and any cake that we could possibly offer. So, it is a learning curve. The first few months we did try all of those different kind of things. And we do have healthy options in all of our sites. But, we need to accept, a lot of these guys and girls are out there doing a really hard day's graft, and they really just want homemade soup in bulk to kind of keep them going during the day. So, as I said, at the moment, we're probably coming off Sir Robert McAlpine's site, we're maybe between £4,000 and £5,000 a week is what our kind of turnover was, which is vast. It's big in itself, but obviously to offset against the 40,000 that we just had spent to start off with as well. On the back of that, for our company alone, I'll talk about the value that we felt Sir Robert McAlpine got from working with us. But the value for us was that it was, I suppose, the catalyst for us to actually move forward and actually have a foothold in the construction industry, or actually any other industry that put a tender out for catering. So on the back of that, particularly for our organisation, we won 2 further contracts within construction, both around the Commonwealth Games. So we have just come off Sir Robert McAlpine's site at the Velodrome, and we have moved across the road to Taggart and 2 other big construction companies to build the Athletes' Village, and we're now supplying their catering. But we're also doing Lend-Lease, which is at the SEC, if anybody knows, the big exhibition centre, and that's now going to be the big new gig arena for Glasgow, and we're in doing their catering.